Ford are so excited about another great year of Friday Night Lights and Hartselle football. Go Tigers!
Welcome to the Coach Bryan Moore Show. I'm Margaret Ann Prater alongside Coach Bryan Moore, and you can find this on YouTube on the Hartselle High Broadcast Channel, and also tune in to the NFHS Network every Friday if you can't make it to the game for our live broadcast. And before we get, Coach, got to go over these sponsors. Got Egg Pruitt Ford behind us, Life Church, Agency on Main, Marmac Commercial Real Estate, Peck Funeral Home, Drake Eye Center, and Coleman Regional Hospital. Coach, first off, congratulations, 10-0 regular season. Just to put this in perspective, first time ever, we've been playing for over a century here, since 1916, first 10-0 back-to-back, and then just to put this into perspective, 14 times we have been 10-0 in the entire history of Hartselle football, and you guys did that. What can you say about?
I mean, it's just all the credit to the kids. I mean, it's been fun. You know, I jokingly said to them in the playoff, we had a playoff meeting Sunday where we talked to them about, you know, sort of a new season and kind of how we go about that. And, you know, it was a time to reminisce a little bit. And we talked about them and getting here, and you've mentioned it on the show and asked questions about it, you know, how far they've come as far as when we first saw them. And a lot of them are, you know, different, you know, and they're not 15-year-old kids anymore. You know, they're men, young men now, and look more like it and act more like it, and obviously play at a higher level. And you know, they bought into everything we've asked them to do. You know, it's not perfect. I mean, no place is, but this place is special because, you know, the people will believe what you say. They'll do it to their very best ability. They'll try and do everything we ask of them, and that's why it's so fun to coach them. You know, I mentioned Friday night after the game to somebody, one of the reporters. I said, you know, if we didn't go 10-0, I would still love this group just because of the relationships we built, and then, you know, our coaches on top of it. It's been a blast, and I hope it continues for 5 weeks.
Well, I love that. You can tell from the outside looking in that it's legit. You defeated a decent Bob Jones team, 38-31. I had a little family bonding session this weekend, watched a little football with the brother, and he said that their quarterback and running back were two of the more impressive players that we've seen all year. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, the way their season, you know, went was they lost to Muscle Shoals early bad, and they didn't run the quarterback very much. Coach Swearingen is there, and first off, he did a great job. You know, he knows our defense really well and did a great job of kind of manipulating some runs and some formations. And of course, he's got the trump card with number 4. He's the best player on the field, you know, and he you know, he's a Division I Power 5 guy, likely going to Indiana. I mean, he's a really good player. And then the big running back, you know, was a sort of a two-headed monster. But, you know, their season, they lost the first game, but then they've been right in all the rest of the games. Even with Austin beat them by 2 points. You know, they fought their tails off in all those games and could be the region champ over there. They've been inside of one score in every single region game, and they're still the 3rd seed. You know, they've got to go to Hoover, which is a tough matchup. But again, they've got quite a player there to snap it to and run around, and they did a good job with their scheme, and I think they're much better than their record showed. And the point of the scheduling with them was I knew the Q was there because we played him 2 springs ago, and he was, I think, a 10th grader or something at that time. And we needed to see that prior to going into the playoffs, so I thought we got all we wanted.
Was he the best quarterback you've seen?
No doubt. I mean, you know, throwing-wise, the kid at Oxford was better, but as far as an overall player, man, that dude's good. He's as good as everybody I've seen except for ours. You know, I mean, I think he's pretty doggone good.
Well, and you know, I hate to reference Matt again, but when he says somebody's good, they're good.
Doubt.
You know, he's not going to be, he's not prone to exaggeration. Offensively, you played very well.
Yep.
I want to highlight 4 players in particular. Let's just start with Zay. Zay, we've been waiting on that breakout game.
Man.
We've been waiting on those big plays. Was this because defenses are starting to watch your film and see Eli?
Right. Well,
and they're finally quitting. Did they stop doubling him? I really didn't pay that much attention, but I looked at the stats and I'm like, holy cow! You know, he had those 2 big touchdowns that we were waiting on.
Finally got some one-on-one matchups. I think it has to do with Eli for sure. And Zay's been going a little bit more than Eli the last 3 games. You know, but that's what you want. You know, they're almost identical in their numbers for the season, and that's the balance that you want. And then of course the way that we're running the ball right now too, I think is a huge part of it. I mean, we ran for 300 yards. Obviously, why we put the offensive line as the player of the game. And but I thought Isaiah had some big matchups, and then Jack, I think it took Jack a little bit a while to figure out my arm is super strong, and he can throw the thing 70 yards. And so, I mean, just let's scale it back. I always tell him, go from 10 to 8, man. Pull that thing back a little bit. You've got an absolute rocket right there. Let's hit some of those deep ones, and he finally connected.
Right. That was actually, my next question. We've watched them run those plays, and they've been just about, honestly, because it's been right in front of me on the sideline, maybe a foot off.
Right.
And they are finally starting to connect, and,
Right.
and Jack did a really good job with those plays and with his feet.
Yes.
He was my second player I wanted to highlight.
No doubt. I thought he had a dynamic game. I thought he managed, and probably more than anybody, and we may get to this, but I thought our 4-minute drive at the end of the ball game was obviously won the ball game Friday night. I think there was 5.5 minutes left, and we never let number 4 have it back. We had a 1-score lead. Of course, we would have liked to have scored, but more so run the clock out and finish with the football. And I thought we did that. And I thought Jack managed that really well. We started huddling right there and churned out several first downs, some of which he had to get really tough runs in there. But I thought he was huge. And then I thought early in the ballgame, the Q counter that he ran for a touchdown set the tone. And then, we jump out to 21-0. But I thought he might have played his best game Friday night. Missed a couple of throws, but again, when he's rock and rolling, being really balanced like that, and then hitting those big ones, it's a game changer.
Well, and in the highlight film, I put that in my question and forgot to add it, but in the highlight film, you watch him, and after the game, he said, I'm going to give this all I have.
Yeah.
And you can see that. You can see that when he's playing.
Well,
all of them are playing.
Well, his story is so
It's
unique.
awesome.
I mean, he sat, and he said that in the video. I've sat for 3 years to be the starting quarterback at Hartselle. It was my dream. And then he had a chance, this summer, do I not play football because I may get drafted in baseball? He's 95 from the left side going to Arkansas. So, I mean, he's
okay.
It's a legit, I mean, it's it's not just like, hey, his parents don't know what they're talking about. No, I mean, this kid's
really
got a
be up
chance
there,
to do that, and he's going to be the ace for the baseball team. And but he wanted to do this. You only live once, and you only get this one. There's nothing like your senior football season. We talked, Coach Newton's referenced it, I've referenced it, the 7 Hall of Fame coaches, about playoffs and all that, and Bill Clark even from UAB. And the one thing he said, there's nothing more special than high school football. There's nothing more special. This guy's playing college and, playing deep in playoffs, and then now, was with UAB and playing in bowl games. I mean, and he's talking about high school playoffs.
He's right.
I mean, that's a big deal. And Jack understood that, and his mom and dad, Paul and Todd, knew that. And, we've been very fortunate that he's with us. I mean, he's had a great year.
Well, and now we're going to go to the offensive line because you referenced it just a little bit. 301 yards on the ground.
Yep.
Their player of the game.
Yep.
That interview, we filmed it first, but it will be airing later in the show.
Right.
Priceless. You even got the coach out there. Kudos to you. Very distinct personalities, but they work together as a unit. What can you say about that crew? I've had them all in class, and they're hilarious. Very bright.
First, really impressive haircuts. They got some stuff. I told them that I can help them, with that. I've got some in my office that we can trim that up a little bit. But they're a lot of fun. Those kids have been around. I think it's 3 seniors and a junior. Ryan Ammett had an engineering deal today that he wasn't able to make it. Ryan has started 2 games and been a captain for us, done a great job. Matter of fact, going to be the lead block on our player of the game this week. And so I hate Ryan wasn't here, and then Stennett Hageman on top of that. So all those kids play. And, just really proud of them. I mean, we've talked about the Austin game in 2020 and kind of, getting our feet wet and learning what it's like to play varsity football. Those are really the guys I was talking about. Those are the guys that had to go against that 340-pound nose for Austin and, just baptism under fire, just go deal with it and survive. And now they're starting to gel. And what's great, and I think, a testament to Coach Prater and the job he does is we've always gotten better through the year. If you look back in each year running the football, especially in 20, we did the same thing last year. JT came out last year in 21, just lit it up through the air. But then as the season went on, you saw Rye right at Muscle Shoals and Buckhorn and get rolling. Even at Gardendale last year, ran the ball effectively. And now you're seeing the same thing. Jack comes out first game, 345 through the air, 26 to 28 or whatever it was, insane numbers. Ridiculous numbers. And then we threw it 10 times Friday night. So it's all about when you start getting late in the season, you got to start running the football to win. And Coach Prater understands that. And then you see them gelling. Even though they played a lot of football, it's still a new year, and some new positions like scout is new this year. And I just think that those guys have done a great job, and they're everything Hartselle should be. I mean, they're hard workers. They're, one of them's a national merit kid. Reed is a 35 ACT, Ryan's a 32 ACT. Come on, I mean.
You got your senior class president.
Right. It's a special group of kids for sure.
Well, and there are some, I'll be surprised if we don't get some outtakes from Mr. Sheets, but when cameras cut off, watching them banter back and forth, it's really funny. You can tell it's a family. But I couldn't talk about 301 yards without the guy who ran 16 times for 190 yards. It's just 11.9 yards per carry.
Yeah, not bad.
He's doing all right.
Well, I think with Rye, you saw a couple of big ones. I mean, obviously, you had the buck sweep that went for 27 or so. Great block by Isaiah there too. So receivers are getting in the fit. And then I think it was 67 yards to start the half. To push the lead out to 3 scores right there.
Right.
Very first play of the half, I thought that was huge. But more so his box runs, so like physical runs, 3rd and 2 runs. That's where Rye's making his growth. His first year when he was a freshman, it was just like elite level talent, go out run everybody, great. He weighed 135 pounds or whatever. And then last year was about vertical cuts in between the box, taking care of the football, being an every down back.
Right.
I thought that was big. And then this year it's been about really being physical, pass protection, all that he's doing now that I think has totally changed the game. And I think it's the way that colleges are looking at him now is, he's a complete back. This is not a scat back that, we're going to have to throw to out of the backfield. He can run Division I football in between the tackles, and just been really pleased with him. And again, I mentioned Isaiah, but also Eli in the blocking
Right.
on the perimeter. Those kids, to throw it 10 times with the level of receivers that we have, you could at some places expect them to get a little bit frustrated.
Right.
I caught 2 touchdowns while we stopped throwing it, but it was the way the game dictated, and the kids never say a word. I mean, Eli Tidwell had 1 catch for 15 yards, but he played extremely well. That's how selfless these guys are.
Well, but they know that they're going to have to play like that to finish.
No doubt.
To
If they want to
finish
get to the
deep in-
end,
yeah.
it's going to take that.
Right. Well, and this is the point in the show that I usually ask you about the young guys. What was different about this game? Your one stayed in for
Yep.
4 quarters. We
Yep.
only had that happen again at Muscle Shoals. Am I right on that?
That's
I don't
right.
mess
Yep.
up. But how important is that for the playoff?
That's funny you say that. I almost laugh because of our schedule. That we've been able to play our second group.
Right.
We've just been very fortunate to be able to do that. I didn't know going into the season we'd be able to do that. But we had 3, if you look at our season, we had 3 close ball games. And what's so cool about them is we won all 3 in different ways. So we went to Gaston City, did not play well on
No, we
offense.
did not.
Started real sharp, but had 3 turnovers in the first half. Didn't play well, 2 red zone turnovers. It would have been 30-0. 16-0, they fight back. Defense has to hold on. And we finished the game just balling out on defense. And then the Oxford game was all about special teams. 2 field goals, kick return touchdown, punt return touchdown, block punt. We won in that phase and totally dominated the game there. And then Friday was all about the offense. And so I think, as people look at our season and ask me to reflect on 21 versus 22 seasons, I think it's all about the different ways of winning. I think that's the key to the deal, that you're balanced, because when you get in the playoffs and you don't look ahead, but you kind of know, hey, we may match here, whatever, you start to look at what kind of game will that be? And you're going to have to win them in different ways, and that's why I've been so pleased with the way the schedule worked out.
All right. Well, thanks, Coach. We'll be right back. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show.
Peck Funeral Home is owned and operated by folks who live in the same communities they serve. Our employees are the heart of our business. The funeral home proudly employs over 30 local individuals. Currently, the funeral home is managed by Jeff Halbrooks, who has held that position for over 20 years. Our goal is simple and has remained the same now since 1929. Peck Funeral Home strives to provide genuine service from the heart.
All right, we're here with our player of the game and their coach. And Coach was wrangled into it a little bit by his head coach, and he's probably here under protest, but we've got him here anyway. We're so excited. Let's go around and why don't y'all give names and who you are? That way I don't have to do it, and tell everybody at home who it is. Go ahead, start, Coach.
Matt Prater, offensive line coach here at Hartselle.
Scout Art, right tackle.
Andrew Crittenden, right guard.
Ty DeWitt, center.
Colton Stinson, left guard.
Reed Ellis, left tackle.
Zeke McCann, fullback.
All right, Zeke, hold that mic. I'm going to ask the first question. First question, give us your favorite moment so far this season. This can be something preseason. This can be practice. This can be – I've had a lot of talks about dessert battles. I don't really know through the season, but what has been – I have a feeling yours might have something to do with an end zone. But let's go down the line. What's your favorite? Did you have a pancake, score a touchdown? What's going on?
I think probably my favorite moment of the season so far, not really me in the end zone, but I think more Rye scoring against Muscle Shoals. That was a very exciting moment. It was a high tense game, so to win it like that it was a really cool experience to be a part of.
Yeah, I'll probably have to go with that one too. Rice scoring the last touchdown against Muscle Shoals.
Probably competing for dessert, really. I mean, dessert's just good.
Beating Muscle Shoals.
Mine's when we went into Oxford and beat them on their homecoming game.
Mine's probably the Muscle Shoals as well.
You got to answer too, Coach.
I got an answer too.
What's been your best moment so far? They were the least disappointing to you.
Okay. Actually, it's probably just the season in a whole. I mean, for us to, increase the competition level that we scheduled, and for us to come out 10-0, I'd say that the whole season for me has been pretty special.
All right, I'm gonna turn it. We're gonna start with you right here. Most improved so far. Doesn't mean best performance. Who has grown the most? And it doesn't have to be one of the starters out of your offensive linemen.
I would say, well, just talking about box players in general, he's not in here, but I really think Stennett has probably been one of the most improved out of this group. I mean, all of them have gotten better, even though some of them are 3-year starters. They are showing improvement, and that's one of the reasons why we're where we are.
That's excellent. All right, tell us, who do you think is the most improved out of your crew?
The person I'm going with isn't in here either, but I'm going to have to go with Harrison Tapscott.
Excellent.
I think it's Reed Ellis.
Stennett, Scout, and Harrison Tapscott.
Definitely Stennett.
I'm going to say Scout.
I'm going to go with Stennett also.
Okay, keep the mic, because that way we're not passing back and forth. And this one the coach doesn't have to answer, because I can tell, I happen to be related to him, and I was with him in his childhood, and he had an excellent baseball season until he tried to jump out of the swing and broke his arm, and so that was his secondary sport. So what was your first secondary sport, or what would you play if you didn't play football?
Probably would have played baseball. I was just pretty good at it when I was young, and I just quit it because I just kind of lost interest in it. But nowadays, I probably would have came back to it.
Okay.
Cornhole.
I was going to say that.
Basketball.
Probably nothing, if I'm being honest. Wrestling, maybe?
Couch potato? Okay.
Basketball.
I'm going to have to go with basketball as well.
You're kind of tall. Yeah. All right. And this one, Coach can answer. Favorite part of practice, Coach?
They'll get a joke out of this. Inside period is definitely my favorite part.
All right, what is inside period?
It's just us and the box players for the defense. It's all runs. They know it's run. We know it's run, and so it's a very get after it period for us.
Okay.
My favorite's third downs. You get 6 third down plays, and there's a winner, offense and defense, whoever wins the most.
Okay.
My favorite part is 2-minute drill. It's just us versus the defense, 2 minutes, play the game.
Probably third down.
Third downs.
This one's kind of new, but I like 4-minute.
All right, what's 4 minute?
So basically, it's like a scenario where we're up and we have to keep the ball away and keep getting first downs, and it's all runs. I mean, it's they know it's runs, so they're kind of sending pressure, but we just got to keep getting first downs and win the game, basically.
I'd say a third down period as well.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, I have another question, 2 more questions, and we're done. All right, I've asked you who the most improved offensive lineman was, but this one we're opening up to the whole team, because I had asked during the season of some of the MVPs, the player of the game, I said, who was that guy that we're not looking at, who am I not calling down here, that we're going to look back and after the season's over, you're going to say, this kid changed a lot. He made a big difference out there. Watch his growth through the season. So who is that I may not be talking about that I need to be talking about or watching for as we go into the playoffs?
I'd definitely say Landon Blackwood. He has to play a wide receiver and quarterback during practice and everything, and he's been doing a really good job at it. He's been very consistent, so I think he's definitely got to watch out for in the playoffs.
I'm going to say Lincoln. Lincoln kind of came to us a little late. He's been on the team, not as long as some other people have, but he's a hard runner, and he works hard. He's here every day, and I'm really impressed with how much he's gotten better.
I'm going to have to go with Lincoln Bryan. He's pretty much a bowling ball. You can't tackle him. He's just strong.
I'm going with Lincoln and Dalton Green.
I'm going with Eli Tidwell.
I'm going with Landon Blackwood.
You can pick somebody.
I'm answering this too? Okay. Sure. I would probably have to go with Dylan and Dalton Green.
Okay.
Both brothers have really improved, and they tend to give us fits on a daily.
That's wonderful. All right. This one, Coach, you're off the hook. This is our last question. This is where you use those brains in your head, because I know you guys have to work together as a unit. Y'all can help each other on this one, but I'd love individual answers. My brother's been known for his words of wisdom. When you leave school, what are you going to take from your experience playing under him with you?
I can't really think of any like words in particular, but I think it definitely helped me with going through adversity and stuff like that, like coaching us hard and all that.
I think one thing is consistency in everything you do.
That's pretty good.
I think it's made me more coachable and helped me deal with adversity better.
Yeah, it makes me more coachable.
He's shaking his head no, Stetson.
I always remember do it again, make sure it wasn't a dang miracle. So
I love that.
I'd definitely have to say it'd be either consistency or mentality. Those two have really grown with being taught by him about that.
You guys are always my favorite players of the game. And, Coach, I know you got wrangled into it, but y'all all did a great job, and we appreciate you. Let's win 5 games, come out with a blue trophy. Good luck to all of you, and we'll be back after a word from our sponsors. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show. With defensive coordinator Bert Newton and Coach Newton. I'm just going to start out not pretty, but you got the win. So gave up our highest point total all season, but you know that quarterback and running back were legit. They had some big receivers. What can you take away from that? Are they the best you faced this year?
I would say them and Muscle Shoals probably the best 2 teams we played, especially offensively. Where Bob Jones is. Started at the beginning of the year, we wouldn't watch them in person. Believe it or not, I was on the sidelines at Muscle Shoals, Bob Jones. And they've come so far. The quarterback was still great, but their offensive line play has gotten so much better. And so they've improved a bunch. They're a good team. They're going down to Birmingham to play Hoover, and I think they can beat them. I mean that. I mean, now, I don't know if they will, but they can. If they stick to the plan they had against us in the second half, they're going to be hard to stop. And, but we got better. We needed that. It was a wake-up call for us. We had our longest defensive meeting yesterday, left here latest, and it was, all about us getting better. And so, you need that sometimes. And when you can get it without having a loss, that's even better.
Yeah.
So we didn't fit as tight as we had, and we played a little bit slower, and I'm not sure why. I think when the quarterback had the first big run, because, the first 3 series we got stops. And then, the quarterback had the big run, and I think our guys up front and on the edge started thinking so much about that quarterback that we did some things we don't usually do. Like we ran upfield and we didn't squeeze things as tight as we did, and we were almost like we were gunning for him instead of playing our scheme like we normally do. And it, like always when it's like that, when your kids are still playing hard, it's a myriad of things. It's this one guy this play, and you fix that, and then another guy this play, and so. But I tell you, the big takeaway for me was that if you're going to ask me who the player of the game was for defense, I'm going to say the offensive line and the running backs. Because with 6 minutes to go, I didn't know if we could go back out there and get a stop, and they ran the clock out. And, when you can do that, when the defense is struggling, it's huge. But again, probably go ahead.
Well, no, you were fine. That's one of my questions was the MVP on defense. And when you say that, you look at our time of possession offensively, it has not been long sustained drives. And they managed to do that, adds another wrinkle. I mean, I guess that's more of an offensive question, but that's a good thing to look at. Yep. And we talked about off camera about defensive back play because they had a couple of big receptions. Mm-hmm. But overall, you said you thought your DBs played pretty well.
I did think they played well. Peyton Steele knocked the big ball down on the post. Caleb had 2 big balls completed on him, but one was actually an interception. And the other one, he was in great shape on a 50-50 ball, and we're not going to get mad at him for that because going into the playoffs, all these teams we play are going to have 1 and 2 and some of them 3 receivers that
they're going to throw it up to them, and it's a 50-50 ball. The biggest thing is we can't get anything behind us. Even if it's a big play, get them on the ground, make them snap it again. So that's going to be, that's just going forward. It's not going to be this 3 and out, shut them out type of deal because the teams are too good.
Right. And I was surprised that they keyed on Jacaleb.
Really, I think they keyed in more to their sideline.
Okay.
We played Jacaleb over there because people like to go to their sidelines.
Gotcha.
So he's always opposite sidelines for us. I don't know if everybody's noticed that.
I've learned something new. Yeah, I did not
So we
notice
do
that.
that because we think he thinks he's our best guy. We think Drake's great too. But Jacaleb's our first guy on the sideline for a reason. Most offenses like to go to their sideline. And the other thing is as a player, you're the closest person to their sideline, and you're going to be there all night. So you're going to get the most guys talking to you from the other sideline, and you can't let it get in your head. And I think Jacaleb can handle that really well 99% of the time. So that's one of the reasons he's over there. And then Dalton Green played great up front against a center that committed to Jack State today. I know he's like a heavyweight. I don't know if he's a state champ, but he's got a chance to be a state champ in wrestling. And so, and Dalton Green, was great still. So, he played really well against Bob Jones. One of the things, talking about the drive the offense had at the end that kept us off the grass, Coach Moore asked me, he goes, it's 4th and 1. He goes, you want us to kick? And I said, no, I want to get the first down. And he said, all right. And it would have given them 2 minutes. And with 4, it's just so razor thin. But anyway, we executed that. And one of the things in the paper, if you read the AL.com deal, I said, I still read the paper, but everybody else is AL.com. Their head coach, Calvin White, said his number one quote was, I wish we'd have had a chance to get the ball back. And they didn't.
Right.
So,
and I think he was not real happy about the time or the timing at the end of the game. I think that's what he was voicing his displeasure about. It was senior night. So can you give me some insights on some of your seniors and their leadership and how they've helped, grow this defense? Because 2020, you were here in 2020 when they were all so young and they were starting. Yes. So, tell me about how they've grown and what they've done leadership-wise. And even you can talk about their play if you want to.
Okay, Trace Oden's a vocal leader for us. He does our breakdowns and everything. And throughout the years played really, really hard. And had a bunch of plays. Caden Worley has stepped up as an undersized linebacker and done a heck of a job of spilling blocks and just scrapping and getting in on plays. And then another senior, Walker Hoyle, plays our boundary linebacker / hybrid safety / in the box guy. We ask him to do a lot, but just so smart and so heady and just gets everything out of his athleticism. He gets 100% of it. And that's what you want for your players when they can max out. And I feel like he's doing that. And then up front, Dalton's had a year I never thought. If you'd told me his sophomore year when we had to play him against these big-time 6'8", 300-pound linemen, that he would be doing what he's doing now, I said, I don't know about that. But because his hard work and everything that went into it, he's having an unbelievable year. Dylan's come on and is doing great. Isaac Nicholson was a big pickup. I talked with him this morning about, you've got more shelf life to get better than these other guys because you're new. You've been playing baseball the whole time and you hadn't played football until this year. And you can still get better at a pace more than anybody else in our defense. So, Caden Kelly's been a good filling guy, it knows, and I hope I'm not leaving my out. I don't think I am. But I don't think so. But they as a group, they've been great, and looking forward to having a run here with them.
Well, and Coach Prater used the Green Brothers as his most improved so far this season, are the guys that are really going after it. Well, thank you for your time. It's great. Hopefully we'll have another win. I'll get to talk to you next week.
I hope so.
All right, thanks. We'll be right back. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show. All right, and we're back with Coach Moore. Coach, first round of the playoffs. There's, the team made the playoffs. The team you're playing is 3-7. So, you want to not have injuries. I know that. But one might think it's not formidable, but let's remember last year's opponent, first round, and we're just going to be thankful.
No
but
doubt.
Crazy things have happened. I keep quoting to my kids or the players I have in class about that Decatur team that went to Jackson Olin when Jackson Olin was ranked number 1 and came back with a win.
Right.
Because Jackson Olin wasn't looking at Decatur.
Right.
Jackson Olin was looking down. So I was like, I know you guys will have them ready. But what can you say about Buckhorn? Who are we going to look for?
Well, first off, they're very well coached. We're used to playing them because we played them in the region play 2 years previously. Coach Patterson was only there one of those years, but we play them in JV in 9th grade, so we're very familiar with them. And head coach is a friend of mine, and we talked Saturday at the playoff meeting, and he's a good coach. He's from Bob Jones. His brother Wes, the defense coordinator, does a good job there. He and I know each other as well, so they know us. I mean, that's the thing about it. Yeah, I mean, it's a team that is 3-7, but I think
they're probably a little better than that. And I think there have been some close games that that they'd like to have back. Or there's a Hazel Green game, the Grissom game Friday night was very, very close. They've been in those games, and then on top of that, what I guess the scariest factor is 2 years ago they beat Bob Jones. I mean they're so they've won some big games, and so that's a factor. The quarterback number 7's a really good player. A dual threat kid. He actually plays running back and a little bit of receiver as well, which he's he's their best player, and so he's all over the place. They've got a good young back that's a sophomore, 22, that played some JV actually, a lot like what Austin's done with the Fuquay kid that's now playing varsity, and he's kind of grown through the year, and so he's a dynamic back. And then, like I said, they'll have some schemes and stuff that give us trouble. I mean, again, they know us, and that's the thing that you're scared of in the playoffs. A lot of times, people don't know you, and so they don't have a lot of time to prepare. But this game is very familiar for both sides.
Okay. Well, and we'll be right back. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show.
Hi, I'm Jenny Tankersley.
I'm Dwight Tankersley.
And I'm Rejane Hampton, and we're your agency on Main. Local realtors here to serve you. One of our team members will be more than happy to find you that perfect home. Go Tigers!
Okay, and we're back. Coach, we're going to end it on the Dana McCutcheon fan question of the week, or it's also the Eddie Pruitt Ford.
Yes.
They do sponsor that as well. Dana, we got to get you to sponsor it now, and we'll take Eddie Pruitt's name out. But anyway, she's asking, she says, how does having an offensive line that has matured to play your offensive your offensive play calling? So let's try it again. Mature offensive line, you got a bunch of seniors.
Yep.
How does that change how confident you are when you're doing your plays, setting up your offensive game plan?
The amount of information they can handle. Of course, we can run. We try not to do too much, first off, so we're really good at the schemes we do run. However, we want to have answers within our schemes, whether it's a tag or, an arc by the tight end or whatever. We made an in-game. I thought Coach Prater and Coach Lang did a heck of a job, Coach Atkins, all of our offensive staff, on an in-game adjustment against Bob Jones. And it's one of those deals, if it's 2 years ago, you can't do that. Like, you can't tell them something different. Like, they can't handle it. But now they've played so much football that, you say, okay, well, when you get this front, this is how you're going to block it. And they never missed a beat. So that, for us, that's huge. Again, because we do run the ball so well and we are as efficient as we are offensively. So you're going to get some different looks you're not used to. Against Muscle Shoals, I'm telling you, they played every front imaginable. Like, moved the pieces, did a heck of a job. But our kids were able to stay with it, and I thought that was huge in the game. That at the end of the ballgame where I scored that touchdown, that we're still able to block the front regardless of what it was, that we feel comfortable in doing that and confident in our decision to make that call. But that all has to do with their maturation and, again, going through the fires and, learning to deal with that. But now, becoming more of the enforcer and not being on the defensive all the time and just sort of trying to survive. Now they're trying to roll people out of there and finish blocks. And I'm just so pleased with their progress. I can't think of another group of people that made more progress. Weight room, their mobility stuff and how they move and their speed training, and then obviously their play on the field. Just really proud of those kids. Can't say enough about them.
All right, thanks. We're going to come back with the play of the game. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show.
This week's play of the game, I thought was a tone setter for us. The scenario, it's 4th and 1. This is our opening drive of the game, and we ended up coming out 21-0 early in that ball game. So I thought this was the start. Great call here. We're in a little unbalanced type set, and then we're sending the third guy to the two receiver side. And then great block. I wanted to highlight Stennett Hageman right here. That's a great block by him. Ryan Ammett is the puller. Did a great job of kicking this defender, fitting properly like we teach. And then Jack, again, he's done this a couple times where he's outrun people. But this is a great call by Coach Prater, Coach Lang. Great job fitting that and then finishing the end zone. Again, then right after that, we scored 2 more times. I thought that was a real tone setter in the game.
At Marmac Commercial Real Estate, our focus is providing service second to none.
If you're looking to buy commercial property, development land, income-producing properties, or a farm, call the Marmac Commercial Team. We provide service second to none. You can reach us at 256-214-2196 or 214-2227, or you can find us on our website at www.marmaccommercial.com.
And this week in Hartselle High Athletics, we're going to start with Thursday, November 3rd, because for the first Wednesday in a while, we don't have an event. Community Bonfire Pep Rally for the playoff game is going to occur at 6 o'clock. It's going to be the tailgate. 7 o'clock will be the actual bonfire. HHS, yes, it's basketball season. They're going to host Coleman. Bowling's going to travel to Madison to face James Clemens. Friday, we've got football here, first round of the playoffs against Buckhorn. Saturday, state cross-country meet in Oakville. Swimming and diving, they're going to go to the Huntsville Aquatic Center. Monday, November 6th, again, junior high is hosting East Limestone in basketball. And on Tuesday, November 7th, the Hartselle High girls are starting their season, and they're going to Athens. We'll be right back. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show.